Good evening.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. The famous words. Now I need to make everything big so I can actually see. Oh, nearly. There we go. Yes. Good evening. Hello, Chris. How are you? Hope you're well today. We've got Wiggle Chicken. That's Chris. And hopefully we'll have some more others in as well. We've got 5 people that are watching and haven't said hello, but maybe they can't. So hello to you, Pete, too. Hope you're well.
And they're getting used to being late. That's what it is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there was a technical error of the tonic water.
That can hard to happen.
No, exactly. Kind of a technical error of the tonic water. So yes. Anyway, cheers everybody. Cheers, Heather. I'm on the spiced gin today. Spiced blackberry gin, homemade.
Oh no, this isn't homemade. This is Newcastle Brown's finest.
Do you know what? I got a collection of bottles last week because I like to make things with bottles, and they're really unusual. They've got Buddhas on them. Have you seen them?
Is that a beer? Are they brown bottles?
No, they're green bottles, and they've got what they're called. Lucky Buddha. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, and they're great. They've got this big laughing Buddha on them, and I thought, oh, I better do something with those. That'd be fun. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with them yet, but yes, they've got 22. My son-in-law has got 2 more that he needs to deal with before I can have the full set.
I'm sure that will be taken care of quite swiftly.
Yeah, I don't think
bottles here, but they're not that unusual.
I don't think he's complaining. I haven't heard any complaints coming anyway, so that's fine.
No, not if there's beer to be drunk. Absolutely not.
No, not. No. So yeah, I've got I made this spiced gin, blackberry gin, but it's got cloves and I can't remember what I put in it now. Cloves and cinnamon and some nutmeg. But it's nice actually. It is. It's quite subtle, but it's nice. Yeah, it's very dark coloured though.
It's for Christmas in a glass.
Yeah, it's really. As you can see, it's very dark coloured. It's not just a very, very well, it is a very, very strong drink. It's about half and half, but it's very nice.
It goes down well.
It does, yeah. Oh dear.
Dear am I.
So what have you been up to this week?
Well, this week's I've been mostly listening bracelets. So I ended up wearing the ones I'm keeping.
Taking a leaf out of my book.
It does happen sometimes. Every now and again, for me it's like a dressing up thing. So I'll wear them for an evening and then not for a while. But I've got some very nice ones. So yes, very nice.
Yeah. It's quite funny. Lots of people ask me, why I wear so many, and we had this conversation last week. Good God, what have I done there?
Have you pressed a button there?
Oh dear, oh dear. I pressed 2 buttons at the same time, and that's gone
wrong. Electric, never.
Electrically, it's all very, very confusing. Yes, obviously we were talking about the jewellery and the shielding and the armour and stuff last week. But it's quite funny because lots of people ask me why I wear so many. People that I don't necessarily want to go into, the whys and wherefores of the armour thing and whatever. But to a certain extent, every single one that I've got, whether it's rings or bangles or whatever it might be, a lot of them have either come from places that I visited because I prefer to have them over souvenirs. Fridge magnets are all well and good, but the cat's not the fridge anyway. And of course, a lot of them have been gifts from friends and family over the years as well. And I always find this complete dilemma as, which one should I wear and which one shouldn't I wear? And will I be insulting if I take that one off? And that's one of the reasons why I wear so many as well. It's funny, really. So I quite often sort of say, oh, well, how can I choose between one daughter and another one, or one place and another one, or whatever? And but you put it like that, most people understand.
Yeah. I mean, yes, if you wore something from everywhere you'd been, you'd barely be able to move.
No. There's quite a few places now. I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky indeed. Oh, yes. Have you done any witchy stuff this week?
A lot of it's been very practical. I'll be honest with you. There's been very little witchery in a formal sense. I did have a very strange dream about somebody yesterday, so I really have to get in touch with them because I need to find out if everything's okay. Other than that, I have had different dreams. That's what I've noticed, is that something has clearly shifted somewhere in my sleep dream pattern. So I'm
Yeah.
getting a slightly different theme of dreams now.
Oh, that's
It
interesting.
just feels different. They're quite
Mm.
full on. I can wake up feeling quite tired. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah. They
something
come
that needs
back
to be
to
looked
you.
at. Mm.
Do you keep a dream journal?
Well, I'm going to have to for this run of them, because they're so different from what I normally have. So yes, I should do that, but it's awfully difficult because if I wake up in the night and I flick a light on, I'm going to wake somebody up. So that's the problem.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously, if it's me on my own, then obviously yes, you can wake up or kind of be half awake and write something.
Yeah.
I try and, as I'm coming out of the dream, recap what's happened, because I usually know I'm dreaming when I'm dreaming, if you know what I mean. But I sort of try and have a recap before I come to full consciousness, so that that helps me remember. And I find it's the last dream, because I've been falling back asleep again, and it's that dream that
Yeah.
sort of consolidates things. So
Yeah.
I'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But
It's
if
strange,
it's
isn't
bad
it?
dreams, it's
I've had a really strange dream pattern recently as well. And what I've noticed is, oh, we've got Tina in. Hi. What I've noticed is that I'll wake up and I can remember some of it. But the weird thing is that during the course of the day, as most people do, I end up forgetting a lot of it, apart from the highlights, like you say, the sort of the highlights that I've consciously made an effort. I must remember A, B, C, D, and E. And yet when I've gone to bed, it's come back really, really vividly, almost as though it's, I've pressed pause on a video and it's, just to where we were before. Previously on 24.
oh dear, Groundhog Day.
Yeah, so it's a bit like that. And that doesn't mean necessarily that it then restarts from where I left off. Hi, Laura. It doesn't necessarily restart from where I've left off. But I just get this full memory of what happened 24 hours later. It's really bizarre.
Mm.
Really bizarre.
I can get that. I have got that, where I've gone, because you get back into the same sort of state, and it's kind of like a state dependent memory, so it triggers it again.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, oh, I remember what I was dreaming yesterday, and then bits will come back. And I
Yeah.
think that's why I'm having this run of dreams, because I want it to run through. I want to see where it goes. And they're not unpleasant dreams by any means, but they're just very different. They involve more people. Normally my dreams aren't very people-y.
No, no, I don't
Unless
like
it's in
people
these,
dreams, but I'm not like people. I'm not much of a people person.
very people person. Well, I
Yeah.
am, but only very few selected peoples. I'm not kind of an en masse crowd loving kind of a girl.
No.
So yeah, it's quite interesting how that's playing out. So I'm watching this space. I've had about three or four nights like this. So I'm imagining it's going to carry on until it works through.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. I love dream time. It's like going to another universe.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always been a great hobby of
It
mine.
is like a parallel universe, and it makes you wonder how much of it is. I always used to think, when we're awake, is that somebody else's dream state and that we're not real and all that existential stuff. So yeah, it's one of those things to ponder on over a gin.
Some of the places you go feel incredibly familiar. Some of them feel familiar, although you've never been to them. They are familiar in your dream world. And there are other places which are very much, it's a real place in a real time. And that other one where you don't know the place, but then you go there in real life.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. That happens quite regularly, and I absolutely love that. And just what's round the corner, or through the next room, or through the next door, and I think it's great. And especially when you can pinpoint when that dream was. Sort of, oh, I had this dream when I was 24, and I remember telling you about it because. And at the time, it didn't make any sense, but 20 or 30 years later, it suddenly makes sense. I love that.
Lots
Absolutely.
of my dreams are like that.
Yeah.
I mean, now obviously I'm quite old, so I've had a lot of those things come through, but it still surprises me. I'm like, oh, now that's the dream I had. The feeling is the same. The sense of place is the same. I'm like, oh, okay. For years and years, right. I mean, this is slightly reselling related as well for those who might pop in or watch this later. But for many years, in the early days of my witch training and stuff, I had quite a lot of dreams where I dream I went into a store or went into somewhere, and I'd kind of come out with armfuls of stuff, and it was like I'd stolen things.
Oh.
But I knew I hadn't, but I kind of had that slight feeling of guilt that I kind of gotten away with something, and I came out with these amazing treasures. Well, of course, what do I do now for a living? I do, and yet at the time, because the psychology of it is supposed to be, well, that's to do with being born and leaving the comfort of the womb and going into the real world, and deep psychological meanings. Actually, it was telling me you can do that and make a living from it.
Yeah.
And I still get that feeling when I've come out with armfuls of stuff and think, I didn't spend much money. It's like, oops, I know that feeling. It's nice.
Very nice.
Stolen ending, promise.
It won't be long now and you can get back in those shops.
Boot fairs. I'm not so bothered about the shops, although there's a couple I'll go to. But yeah, it's the excitement of thinking, is all that new stuff there ready and waiting for me to find?
Exactly, yeah. Now we've got some, where are we? We've got some.
Yes, Tina, yes.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we are. So, yeah, when you first wake up, you shouldn't move and disturb the recall. Yeah, that's advice.
I
really
stay there.
Stay there. Wake up and you're like, oh. I wonder if it's forgotten dreams that cause me to wake with weird emotions, says Chris. Those feeling sad for no reason days. Oh, I've lost it. For no reason days, for example. Yeah, quite possibly, because obviously we don't remember all of our dreams. And I would go so far as to say that would be an odds on certainty. If you've had a distressing or upsetting time in a dream, and it's one that you've not remembered, it's hardly surprising if it leaves you with a feeling of sadness or moroseness or whatever for the rest of the day, because they really can influence how you feel for the rest of the day. You've had one of those amazing flying dreams that you get from time to time. God, they're my favourite. I love them. Yeah. I always fly on mushrooms. Now that's no kind of inference to what I may or may not take. I don't. But there are always these giant mushrooms that are just like toadstools that are much, much bigger than me. And I sort of hold on to the edge of the sort of a what do you call that cap thing? Yeah. I sort of hold on to that and I just sort of float around in ever decreasing circles. It's fantastic.
I've never had a dream like that. When I'm flying, I just think myself, I'm just moving through the air like a bird without actually having to make any effort apart from intention.
Yeah. The other thing that I really love, and I've had these dreams for, since I can remember, and that's doing parkour. And long before parkour was a word or a thing.
I used to dream that too.
Yeah. And I still dream that. I absolutely love it. It's sort of like bouncing around and God, yeah. And I do. I always feel really elated when I wake up. I think it's just
it's where you can just jump and keep going and kind of like float down again. It's kind of like it's not a full-on flying dream, but it's that experience. You know that no one else can do it. So you're kind of going, look, I can do this.
Yeah, exactly, and you can run at top speed. And having always been the slowest runner, not just in the class, nay, in the school. The fact that I can actually move my legs is really wonderful. So yes, I love them. So I would agree with that then. Yeah, the forgotten dreams, absolutely. I think they're really very, very often quite responsible for the feelings that you have throughout the rest of the day. Hello, Becca. Hi, how are you? Hope you're well. So Tina says she has very vivid dreams every night. That must be exhausting to have them every night, I should think.
I mean, I certainly am at the moment. And it's kind of like I wake up with what I can only describe as a sleep hangover. It's kind of like, I think I'll get up and have a rest now.
Just sit in a chair and relax.
Go
on to the night's sleep. Yeah, definitely. God. I know I'm dreaming, so if it gets too bad or weird, I can wake up. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, sometimes I get that, but not always. When I first gave up smoking, I've given up smoking 100 times, but when I first seriously gave up smoking successfully for 2.5 years, and I was having the nicotine patches. Oh God, the nightmares that I had with them, they were awful. And I vowed that I wouldn't go back to smoking because I couldn't face having the patches. Actually, they were so bad that they a deterrent in themselves
Mm.
to not have them. But I think they changed their formula somewhat, because I think there was a lot of people. So this would have been back in the 90s, and I think there were when they first came out, and I think there was a lot of people that were having problems, shall we say, with them as well. So you know. So, I think there were other people that were having similar problems, and I think they changed their formula somewhat. But that was, to me, a massive deterrent, because when I gave up smoking the next time, fairly successfully, 4.5 years, and I used the patches again, and they weren't in the same league. I sort of had the odd dream here and there, or the odd peculiar dream, I should say, here and there. But it wasn't the absolute terrors that I had first time round, and they really were awful. So, yeah. Didn't think much of those. Didn't think much of those at all. So I've had just done 1 or 2 witchy things this week. And one of the things that I've made is a tranquility jar.
Ooh, tell us more.
Well, it got me actually thinking after last week's chat that we had, and I've forgotten who it was that mentioned it now. Names, but somebody mentioned about preparing to go back into the big wide world because lockdown's coming to an end. And did we have any tips and advice? And we sort of talked about, sort of sigils and various crystals and amulets and talisman and that kind of stuff. And I was thinking, well, there must be something else that you can do, because there's a lot of things out there that, for all the tea in China, you can't change. You can't do anything about you're a victim to them or you're not a victim to them, regardless, because those things are just there. And I thought, by taking those particular things out of the equation, there are just a few things less to worry about, so that you can concentrate on the things that you can change and the things that you can deal with. So I created a tranquility jar. So basically, what it was, one of my multi-recycled jam jars, which has had jam in, had marmalade in, had various chutneys in, and is now just waiting for the next thing to go in. And I thought, what can I put in here? So first of all, I started off with an amethyst, just a little tiny one that I've got. It's just a chip, really. But obviously that's for sort of calmness and serenity and that kind of thing. And then I added a couple of drops of lavender essential oil, which won't improve the amethyst, but because it's only a small chunk, it doesn't matter. So I added a couple of drops of lavender essential oil, because again, that's kind of calming and so on. And then on very little pieces of paper, on each individual piece of paper, I wrote down things that I couldn't change that I was worried about. So, for example, if you're worried that you might go into a shop and somebody's there that's not wearing a mask, for example, it might be on your radar of things you worry about. It might not be, but just as an example, you can't change that. You can't force somebody to wear a mask just because you don't like them not wearing a mask. And so by putting that on my piece of paper and then popping it in the jar, and as I opened the jar lid, obviously inhaling the scent of the lavender to calm me about this thing that I was getting anxious about, and then pop the lid back on and then do the next one. And the thing that I kind of made a conscious effort for was to try and make an even number of pieces of paper to go into my jar. Again, balance. So I've got about half a dozen or so things in there, and of course, as and when something else bothers me that I can't change, again, that'll get popped in my jar, because it just takes out the equation, because we could all end up worrying about all sorts of things that we have either no impact on, or no say in the matter, either or both. And just by doing that, it then frees your mind up, because let's face it, we've all got busy minds, we've all got loads of stuff going on, we're all bombarded by information about all sorts of things. A lot of those things we can't do anything about. So by taking those things out of the equation, it then lets you focus on things that you can change and things that you can improve. We've got a hat here, we're not going to change or improve him. We could actually improve him. We could improve him quite a bit because he's a bit damp.
Yeah, a wet cat is not joyful.
Ew.
I had one of those earlier. It was like, oh,
Ew.
not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that whole thing about, and it's wasted energy as well. You know, you're throwing energy all out there, worrying about something, as you say, something you can't do much about. It doesn't mean you don't care, because some of these issues are important, but to get so caught up in them that it stops you doing what you want to do, what you need to do, what you'd like to do, is counterproductive. And most people get so overwhelmed by it that they'll actually just stop doing anything. Which
and
is,
so it does, as you say, it takes out the overwhelm about it. You know, and you can. I'm a great one for petitions, signing petitions, and I've been writing to. I've had a busy day. I've had the day off today, and I've been writing to MPs, and I've been doing all sorts of stuff today because I'm quite an activist. You know, and those are things that I can't personally do anything about, but I can help. But there's no point in spending sleepless nights worrying about them because I can't change legislation on my own. But together with other people, you can. But worrying about it and having this tranquility jar just keeps an even keel and an even balance and keeps it real. Keep it real, Ian Beale.
Okay. Yeah, and it is not being overwhelmed by stuff. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people are worrying because their kids have gone back to school, and then there's the tests, and are they going to get a false positive, and you know, and all this, and they've got to have something shoved up their nose, and which they don't like, I've got to say.
No, I don't either. Horrible, it's the worst.
You know, my son is finally being able to catch up with his really good mate, and he's going to be quite exhausted for the next couple of weeks because he has to get up at silly o'clock in order to go into school. But I think the relief that they all feel, the fact that their lives are beginning to get a little more normal, is the beginning of the process where that will happen for us. And there's always going to be people at one end of the spectrum going, it's all over now and it's fine. And the other end of the spectrum going, we're going to have a third wave. It's like both sides can just fuck off. Excuse me, and just be a bit more realistic and a bit less pessimistic about things, because there's no point in being all doom and gloom. There is absolutely no point. If you're doing the right things or what you feel are the right things and you've made a judgment, then that's it. End of.
Exactly. Yeah. So Tina says that she likes that idea, and she says that she might make one herself. So good for you. We should expect phone photos, otherwise it didn't happen. And let me see. We've got hello, Dawn Cherry Paul. Hope you're well. And jewelry sales. Hello. Oh, I've been chatting away so much I haven't even noticed you popping in. Hello.
We're late.
Yes. Oh, in that corner with you. Yeah. Oh, hang on a moment. I need to read that with my specs on. I'm trying so hard not to see, but I can't. So Chris says, my daughter is involved with a climate awareness related street meditation. Not sure if I should be very proud or anxious. Yeah, I get that. So yeah, obviously you've got the pride there because it's something such a positive thing. But you know, there's a lot of people that potentially could make your daughter ill. So yeah, you've got all sorts of stuff going on there, haven't you? So yeah, definitely. Anyway, so there we go. Tranquility jars. That was my main thing for the week. Could have put one of your whiskers in, couldn't we? Because this is the most tranquil cat you've ever. He's so laid back on.
Yes, he is. And a cat's whisker is a very powerful thing.
It is. It is, especially if it's poking through your nightie.
Or laid on the stair so you can just tread on it. You end up.
It's not as bad as Lego. You have to admit, it's not as bad as Lego.
No, Lego's pretty horrific. I have much experience.
Apparently, that's quite a common thing for people having to go to A&E where they've got Lego bits embedded in their foot. I mean, how hard have you got to stand on a bit for it to be embedded? Sounds gross, doesn't it?
If you're in a Lego zone, i.e. anywhere with the children, you tread carefully anyway and put
slippers on.
As my father used to say, put your bloody slippers on. Oh, and Becca's asking us if we mark Ostara.
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
Yes, most definitely. I do it in a slightly different way to how I used to do it, though, since turning vegan, funnily enough. What would you do, Heather?
The eggs, isn't it, really? And all that business with eggs. I mean, it's the symbolicness of the eggs that I find very interesting. You know, the whole growth and process. And bunnies, and you know, it's a very cute time of year. But certainly from a witchy point of view, it really is. Yeah, we've really turned that corner now. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
equinox, that everything changes, everything just bursts into life.
Yeah.
It's very joyful from that point of view. So
Exactly.
yes, I will market in any way I can. I'll plant things. I'll watch things coming up. I'm talking to the crows that are nesting down near my garage, having nice conversations with them now. And they don't run off so much when I'm in the area because I go quietly and I make a particular noise as I go near them, so they know it's me rather than someone not friendly. And that they're settling a bit better now. So
yeah, because they do recognise people, don't they?
they do. And I mean, there's all this thing about the best way to get to know crows is to feed them. But I don't want to be scattering sort of cat biscuits around the place because that's going to attract rats and God knows what else. And I won't be thanked for that.
No.
And I'm not there at the same time. You know, I don't go at the same time every time. So I haven't got a predictable pattern. But if they know it's me, come swinging around the corner, sort of clicking my tongue, making it, you know, and I go, hello, crows, you know, and give them a bit of chit chat before I disappear into the garage.
Yeah.
You know, but there's so many of them, and they are all now hovering, you know, settling around the nests. So they're obviously very close to nesting.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of them around here. Obviously, it's all farmlands, all farmlands. So yeah, there's tons of them around here. Very noisy. So the noisiest little fella of all is this little robin that's been coming to see me for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and he sits on the fence and makes noises at me. Until I go in and give him some seed, basically.
You basically.
Yeah, well, he worked his way through my jar of sunflower seeds, which I would normally be eating, but he worked his way through them in the snow. And then I ran out of them, so he was having porridge oats for a little while. But I splashed out and bought some wild bird seed. And actually, he doesn't seem to like them quite as much as he liked my sunflower seeds and porridge oats, but standard. You try and do the best, don't you? He looks at me like, what do you call that?
Not my flavour. Well, bring back the sunflowers.
Yeah, exactly. You obviously quite like them. I quite like them, but I didn't get any because he ate them. But never mind.
Yeah, sunflowers are nice though, aren't they? It's too good for birds.
No, not so good. They are nice though. I like them with good stuff. Oh, hello. We've got Bad Biscuit in. I've forgotten names.
Lex.
Hello. Oh, I do wish I remembered names. It does drive me nuts. It really does.
Hope you're feeling better, Lex.
Oh, yes. Hopefully everything is
very
all
much on the mend.
going well, hopefully. So that's all good. Hopefully, yes. So Astara, so I remember years ago I used to do quite a lot of egg magic. So I'd put, I remember one particular occasion we had at one of the gatherings that I organised, and I took my whopping great big wonky cauldron with me, and everybody that was there, Laura was there, and everybody that was there, we all decorated eggs, and then we all put them together in the cauldron so that we would kind of imbue the magic from the next egg that it was touching, and so have this big collective. And then we had them all together for the evening, for the course of it. And the idea was that I think it would have been right at the beginning of March. That the idea was that within a couple of days, once all the decorations, and they were specific decorations that we put on there, certain symbols and sigils and all sorts of things on there. Once we felt that it had, sort of imbued the magic, then the idea was to eat the egg and then imbue the magic that we'd attached to those eggs that had been increased by being with all the other ones. And that was amazing. Actually, the feedback from that was really, really good. Lots of people benefited from that, and so on. And over the years, we did quite a lot of stuff with egg magic. But of course, I don't do that anymore because I'm dirty eggs. But not to say if I were to find a discarded eggshell, I wouldn't do something with it, because I would. Obviously, last week you saw that I had the fox skull. So things like that I'm not averse to picking up and using magically once they're discarded and not required anymore. But I don't want to be part of the process, so to speak. It was 6 years ago, was it really?
Blimey.
Wow, how do you know it was 6 years ago?
Encyclopedic memory, clearly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was 6 years ago?
That's amazing. I mean, I haven't done much in the way of egg magic, I must be honest, in spite of not being vegan, but much more about seeds and planting things. That is very much, funnily enough, sunflowers, seeds, because it's a good time. And then what we do is we put them all in together, and then I'd sort of look after them a bit, and then we'd know whose was whose. So then the following time we all got together, we'd go and plant them out, or they'd take them home, or so that I'd grow the ones for people who hadn't got gardens, but if people wanted to take them home, they could then grow it on. But they've been together long enough to kind of imbue, and it's all that growth potential promise of within the seed. And I think the idea of a seed is probably easier perhaps for a vegan than an egg is going to be, and it has similar feels.
Yeah. Although Lex has just said chocolate egg magic. I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah, look, I can make it disappear.
It's got to be vegan chocolate though. Have you seen the price of those things? You need an arm and a leg mortgage for one of those.
What, a vegan chocolate egg?
Yeah, vegan Easter eggs are so expensive.
Are there not some that are accidentally vegan, like some things are?
Yeah, you get your Bourneville ones; they're accidentally vegan. But even the
Bourneville's sugary though, isn't it? It's really
So by and large, no, they're really pretty expensive. But of course, you can make your own. If you get little molds, then you can make your own and do it with some slightly cheaper vegan chocolate and whatever, which doesn't cost you an arm and a leg and isn't full of like Bourneville.
Then you could decorate it or carve it with your sigils and
exactly. Yeah, thank you. I'll do that because I've got I've been worried about that because on this coming Saturday, we were going to be having a crafting afternoon, and we were going to be doing wands and egg magic and all sorts of stuff. And I was thinking, I'm not going to be able to do anything with that. I wasn't thinking outside the egg box. Boom, boom.
Boom, boom. She's here all week.
I'll get the coach now. Oh dear, sorry. And then it's changed so that this coming week we're doing wands, and I can't be there because I've got to be at work. And then the following week it's eggs, and I was like, oh, bum. But now I've got a great idea. You've given me a great idea. I can do that. I can get some of those prepared, and then I can do things with those. So yeah, thank you. I just need a couple of molds, and I'm going to be away.
Hey, drowning in chocolate. Chocolate egg magic. Thanks, Lex.
I'll tell you what, actually, Laura, that was saying about it being 6 years ago, and she remembers because Laura was only Ellen was only born, her granddaughter, and she does chocolate divination.
Oh, that sounds quite promising.
Isn't that decadent?
It is. I know you can divine with almost anything, and even cabbages and the like, but chocolate, yes, thank you.
Yeah, chocolate divination. So she has, she uses buttons, chocolate buttons, and she uses. She's going to have to remind me exactly what she does though. So she does dark chocolate buttons, milk chocolate buttons, and white chocolate buttons. And I think she just uses 2, so it's like a yes or no answer. But essentially, you ask the question, and then blindly you pick out one of your chocolates, and depending on what colour chocolate comes out, is your answer. So it's just a sort of a yes/no thing, very much like pendulum.
Great fun.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's what I think that's about right. But yeah, it gave various friends of ours lots of ideas for gifts for the high priestess that's got everything. So you sort of, by selection. I think Susie, I don't know if Susie's in, I've not seen it. But she gave a gift to a friend of hers, and she, based on Laura's idea of the chocolate divination, and she sort of gave all sorts of things like, the Ferrero Rocher and what are those white ones that have got like the coconut on them?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're weird. Then they're weirdly quite tasty. They shouldn't.
Anyway, so yeah, so she had them, and then I think she had like the Lindor in the different colours and all that kind of thing. So she really went to town with it and made it a proper decadent gift.
Right.
But what a great idea! Yeah. So yeah. So Laura says that's right. I did get it right. Honestly, I can't remember things sometimes. Just not very well. So Chris says papier-mâché eggs make around balloons, vegan, filled with suitable treats as a gift. Trouble is, balloons are so eco-friendly. I tend not to use them. So yeah, a good idea, but no. So probably molds rather than balloons, or just sort of create a solid affair. Basically, you can do it that way too. So yeah. That's one of the downsides of being a bit of an eco-wine. You suddenly think, I could do that, but then I'm going to be guilty for the next 6 months.
It's good to think things through. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Balloons are a bit of a nuisance, really, but yeah, they're quite useful in all sorts of things. But you can make solid ones. You make them round pebbles as a sort of a base, and then smooth them out. Or of course, I could go and buy a Fabergé egg. I'd need to earn a few more quid, but
yeah, that's a bit spendy. I'd find one of those at the boot fair.
Now, wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be quite a boot fair, wouldn't it?
Cool. I've got this old egg. 50p. Yeah, thank you. Just use it. Can you imagine? Cool. Yeah, that's the find that people dream of, isn't it?
It is. It is.
It really is. Yes, definitely. Yeah. What's Laura said here? You can grab a handful of chocolate buttons and cast them and read the buttons like you would tea leaves. If you didn't eat them before you cast them, yeah. Can you imagine trying to, you'd cast them out onto a tray, and then the person you're trying to read them for, or the dog came in.
Yeah. Probably work with those little nibs that you get, the little nibs of chocolate that you use in cooking. That would probably because they're smaller. So in terms of volume, I'm thinking you need quite a lot of chocolate buttons to actually get anything like a picture, I suppose.
Yeah, you do actually. You mean those little chocolate drops? Yeah,
the things that you put in if you're making cookies and.
Yeah.
I don't do it very often. Can you tell?
Yeah. No,
people do. People who bake.
Yeah. You could do it with hundreds and thousands and all sorts of things actually for cake decorating, couldn't you?
You could, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it? I'll do that next time the grandkids come over. I think so. Right, let's tell the future on the cake decorations. I think I can completely cook it.
Well, keep them amused, keep them quiet.
They're quite suspicious already that I'm not completely mad, especially after the fox skull incident. So I did do that last week, but I'm a bit disappointed with the results actually. So
what's happened?
Well, basically, I thought, well, what would be more useful? The Sterident tablets. Do you remember we decided it was either Sterident tablets or Ace washing stuff?
Yeah, because Sterident tablets are surprisingly hard to find.
No, I managed to get hold of them without any problem. So I got the Sterident tablets, but it's not hydrogen peroxide; it's some other peroxide.
Yeah,
calcium peroxide, I think it is.
Oh,
I think. Anyway, but it's not hydrogen peroxide. I thought, well, I'll give that a go anyway. And then while I was doing the rest of my shopping, this was Thursday, and while I was doing the rest of my shopping, I went down the laundry aisle and I thought, well, I'll have a look and see if that's got hydrogen peroxide in rather than calcium peroxide or whatever it is. But it was, I don't know whether it was a non-whitening one or whether it was for colours or whatever it was, but it had the same, exactly the same peroxide in it, the calcium peroxide or whatever it was. But of course, it's a much, much bigger quantity, and it was about £4 rather than 80p or £1 or whatever it was for the other tablets. And I thought, well, I'll try with the other tablets first and see how we get on, the Sterident tablets. I thought I'll try with them first and see how I get on. and then if needs be, then I'll go down the ACE route.
Yeah.
So I have them sitting in a very large bowl. Had all the bits and pieces sitting in a very large bowl for 24 hours, and it's not really made much of a difference actually. I was expecting them to come up whiter than they did, or cleaner than they did, and it's got the gunk out of the middle of the skull.
Yeah.
Obviously, lots of detritus and bits of leaf and whatnot in, and it's got those bits out, but it would have done, I suppose, coming out of water anyway. But yeah, I was just a bit surprised. I thought they'd come out, really bright white, but no. So yeah, back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nevertheless, it's one of those things. And as I say, I think it quite shocked them, when I decided that I was, not only taking it home, but I was going to do something with it. Like, oh, what are you going to do with that now?
Well, yes.
Oh, God.
Fine.
But what I forgot to show you was this. What have I done with it? Here we go. So in order to get to where the wooded bit where we found the little waterfall and the fox skull, we went through the cornfield that I was in last year. If you look on Facebook, you'll find me drumming to the cows from the cornfield. And my grandson found this, and it's actually a piece of corn, but it's got the roots on that have been upended. And he's like, look, Nana, it's like your broomstick. And to his horror, I put it between my legs and belted off across the field with it. My granddaughter thought it was the best thing ever, because now Nana's going at top speed with a broomstick, and it's exactly to be expected. My grandson is a little bit older and a bit more discerning at nearly 7. Quite horrified.
It's like, oh God.
Yeah, face palm. My daughter just rolled her eyes at him. But I think he was quite surprised the speed that I went. So that's it. It's a turbo.
Turbocharged broomstick.
So, but it's quite muddy. But it's cool, isn't it? It's just like a little broomstick.
Yeah.
It's heavy, but it's only mud. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. But I forgot to show you last week. It's rather good. Yeah. He was absolutely horrified though. I suppose he sort of was thinking along the lines of, oh, she's going to, oh, that's me, or whatever. And of course, I embrace the witchery. And
you should be used to it by now.
It should be. Oh dear. I don't think he's ever going to quite get used to me, to be fair. Yeah. Oh dear, never mind. So yes. What have we got here? So Tina's saying that she's got some hydrogen peroxide from eBay.
Yeah, I didn't know they used to bleach hair, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you get it chemist. I'm thinking.
So. Yeah. I have to go out on my travels and see what I can find. As I say, it was a sort of a, sort of short-term fix really, and I thought, well, if I can fix it that way, then that works well. And if I can't, then I'll have a rethink. I haven't got to the end of the line by any means. So, there's lots of other options. Just a question of thinking outside the box, really, and so on. So yeah, I'll try the chemist, and I'll go back to the supermarket, because actually where I went to was Tesco's. I don't know if that's Tesco's, but I was there buying petrol anyway. So yeah, but I normally go to Morrison's, so I'll see if Morrison's has got anything a little bit more suitable while I'm in there next time.
Yeah, it's obviously a special one. It's a cleansing one. So
Tina
obviously is a bit more authority on hydrogen peroxide there. I suppose they send it in the post, really. I would have thought that was a bit.
I wonder if it comes in powdered form. I know nothing about hydrogen peroxide at all.
Me neither. I've never bleached my hair in my life or anything else.
I have done. When I was a teenager, I used to have my hair dyed black like it is now. But then at the back of it, sort of like the big sort of chunk from the crown of my head down, I had that bleached completely white. So it was, in my view, I was kind of doing a nod to Cruella de Vil. My mum said I looked like a skunk.
Skunk. That's what Whoops.
In fact, my mum said I look like Keep Death Off the Road. Thanks.
Yeah, I think I'm heading for the Pepe Le Pew look.
Yeah, so that, you know, that's quite a lot of peroxide to get that white, completely white. And then my fringe, I had this sort of, like, you know, bearing in mind this is the early 80s, so I had this sort of big, and it was like a Mohican-y thing. And then I had this sort of big fringe, which was a different colour every week. It might be green, it might be blue, it might be magenta or whatever. But in order for the colours of the time to take, it had to be on bleached hair, so it wouldn't take on ordinary hair. Because I think they do now. I think the new colours will take on all sorts of different hair, but it didn't
have
used
to
to.
have light hair, otherwise there's no way it's going to show up. But yeah, you can just spray something on, just, you know, that washes out again, I think. But I mean, that's the reason I didn't colour my hair when I was younger, because I didn't want to damage it.
Yeah, I didn't care. So so I had the front bleach, so it could be all, it was like right down here. So I could have that all different colours, and then my skunk stripe down the back.
Cool.
Oh dear, yeah. It was quite funny, you know, because my mum referred to me as being Keep Death Off the Road for donkey's years, since I was about 15, I think. And then after she died, I became a driving instructor, and I thought I finally become Keep Death Off the Road.
Comes full circle.
Yeah, it just occurred to me after I, you know, passed all my tests and exams and stuff, and it's like I have become Keep Death Off the Road. Hurrah!
Yeah. Well, Chris Wibblechick has come in with some information saying there's food grade. I presume we're talking hydrogen peroxide here, which is about 3%, but you want 12% solution for bones. She knows too much, I feel.
Oh.
You've done this before, haven't you?
Right, okay, 12%. Right, so if I look that up,
that
12%, because I put more tablets in than, you know, you would normally do on doing dentures or whatever. But I don't think I would have got it up to about 12%, I'm sure. So yeah, I'll look into that then. Maybe I'll have a look on eBay and see if I can find something that's a bit stronger. Yeah. Yeah. Tina's saying she's loving your natural hair, Heather. It looks really good, doesn't it? Looks like it's
this
dyed.
particular light is showing it up as, makes the contrast where you can see it very dark underneath, nearly black, obviously my natural colour, and then very, very silvery on the top, and then this kind of mad spaniel brown at the bottom. I'm actually going to try a hair mask tomorrow.
Oh yeah, what does that do?
Tomorrow evening. Yeah, it will be tomorrow evening, because the idea is that it's like a conditioner that you leave in, but because it's a mask, it keeps it warm. And I wanted to get the ends looking nice, because obviously it's going to still be a little while till I get to a hairdresser's. So I thought I'd give it a try. I don't know what it's going to be like.
I don't think I've ever tried one thing.
No, me neither. I don't really, but I just thought, yeah, why not? Pamper myself. Yeah. But thank you, Tina.
Yeah, good. No, my hair's always been a bit of a sort of an aim and fire, really. I mean, it gets dyed, obviously, but that's about it, really. You know, most days I don't brush it or do anything with it, or.
Well, me neither, really. I'm pretty low maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I've never been one for fucking about with it, apart from when I had the Mohican, because that was really high maintenance.
Oh, I can only imagine. It look amazing, but yeah, take all day to do, I'm sure.
Yeah, I used to have it shaved at the sides, you know, sort of about a number 1 or number 2, and then razored into the sides. I used to have a different design every week. So I might have a skull and crossbones, or a bat, or a skull, or whatever, and I used to have that razored into the sides.
So who used to do it for you? Did you have a friend?
Yeah, so I had my boyfriend at the time. He was learning hairdressing. He's gay now. My mum said it was my fault. Thanks. I think he was probably the way inclined anyway.
Can't really say anything to that, can you? It's like, it's all wrong, isn't it? Every single bit of that sentence.
Every single part of that sentence is so wrong. But he was the loveliest guy. And anyway, I digress. But he was learning hairdressing. He doesn't do hairdressing now. But he was learning hairdressing, and it was great actually, because he used to teach me what he'd learnt that week at college, and then he used to practice all sorts of different things on my hair because I had tons of it. So he used to practice doing all sorts of bits, and it would be dyed and crimped, and as I say, but I had this Mohican and this bleach bit and this bit, and then he'd do all the bits at the side and stuff. But it was high maintenance, you had to do something different with it all the time, and sometimes it was held up with a can or two of hairspray, and sometimes it was just sugar water, and so it was hard work. Used to get dented on the top of the bus. Yeah, no, it got dented on the top of the bus. Because obviously I'm quite tall, and even just standing up without any additional hair.
Yeah, buses aren't that tall. You haven't got much clearance there.
No, when you've sort of got 8 or 10 inches or more of hair that sticks straight up, that's a lot of person and a lot of hair. And it used to get dented. I was like this.
Oh, what a hoot.
Oh God! But the most funny part of it all was I still went to private school like that.
Yeah, that is.
Oh dear, yeah. I think my headmistress must have had kittens about me, I think.
Certainly probably still remembers you.
Yeah, with that face. Oh God, yeah, I remember. Oh, she's very nice, but oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do anything that crazy with my hair when I was at school, but they always said, well, you have to plait your hair, you have to have your hair out the way for science, and being a science bod, so I'd put it in the plaits like I had it in before, but then I worked out a way to make these things where you can have a leather wrap with feathers on the end. So I'd go in with that. There were no rules for that, and there were no rules against having a Mahusive and Music for Sex People gold, black and silver logo right on the back of your science coat.
Yes.
That wasn't in the rules either. It was like,
got to get Adam and the Ants in there somewhere.
Absolutely. I loved the logo, and I was very good at drawing it, so I could put it. I'd just get these big permanent markers in all the bright colours and stick it on. So,
yeah. I never thought of adorning my lab coat.
Well, I wore it a lot because I did all 3 sciences, and I did science at A level, so I wore it quite a bit.
Yeah. I only did the 2 sciences. I just did physics and chemistry. I didn't do biology because of the dissection thing we talked about that, I think. But I refused to do that. But yeah, so I did the chemistry and the physics. Obviously, you had to wear the lab. Never occurred to me to do it up. I don't know why. I feel quite ridiculous now. Why didn't I do that?
Because you'd look like a candle. I mean, with all that hairspray and the fringe just over the Bunsen burner. That's an accident.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was one of the things that we had to be quite careful of. It's just the whole doing the thing with the lab coat. I can't believe that I didn't think to do that. I used to make my own clothes and design my own clothes and do all sorts of bits and pieces. Never ever occurred to me to do something with the lab coat.
It's because they couldn't. There was nothing they could say. It wasn't. Catered for.
I'm 100% of the way. I just can't believe that I didn't do it.
Well, I did that, and I didn't do the other stuff. So yeah. Between us,
missed. Definitely opportunity missed. That was cool.
Oh yeah.
That would have been fun, having alien sex fiend all across the back of it, wouldn't it?
Superb.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, they would have been. I think that maybe would have been one step too far. I don't know.
You didn't get to find out, sadly.
No. Oh no. See, I need a time machine now.
Can we go back and do it again?
Oh dear. Why would you like a time machine? So that I can adorn my lab coat in the 6th form. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh dear. Yeah. Oh dear. Things you do, honestly, just to try and get one over on society, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just I like to break the rules, but to do it in the smart way, so they couldn't bite me back.
Good thinking. Absolutely. Good thinking. Oh dear. Oh. Have you got anything coming up this week of interest?
Well, where are we? Today's Wednesday, isn't it? Not really. I haven't got a huge amount. I'm sure there's plenty of things going on. Yeah, I kind of lurch from one day to the next because I never quite know what's going on.
Yeah,
So, it's all looking fairly quiet, to be fairly honest.
yeah.
Yeah, it's all looking very quiet, and that's how I like it.
Yeah, I think there's a few online talks coming up, but because I've got this bit of temporary evening work going on, things that I've been thinking about sitting and watching, I won't be able to sit and watch now, which is well, it's one of those things, isn't it? But yeah, but there are actually, if you go on, for anyone that's after some witchy things to do in the evenings, if you go on to badwitch.co.uk, Lucia writes a great long listing. Every Wednesday, she writes a very, very long list. She even includes us, you know. And she writes a very long listing for the week of online and real events. Obviously, most of it's online at the moment. But it's great. There's all sorts of ideas of things to do. Some free, some not free, some very expensive, some just £1 or £2. So yeah, there's something for everyone on there. So yeah, that's badwitch.co.uk. Yeah, and there's a really long listing. And Lucia puts it up every week. And talking of Lucia, obviously she did her magic for the month of March on Friday. Did you catch that?
I didn't know. I had a very, very busy Friday.
It was excellent. I'm going to put a link to that. Actually, it was absolutely excellent this month. It really, really was. Shan't spoil it by telling you about it, but I'll put a link up, and then you can all go and have a look at it if you've not yet seen it. So yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. It really, really was. But I have to say, if Lucia, if you're watching this back, the end of it just made me literally burst out laughing because it was. She's well, yeah. So we're coming to the end of it, and well, if there aren't any more questions, well, I could hang on for a bit. Bye. And off she went.
I'm not hanging around. I'm off. I'm gone. I'm out here.
Well, if there aren't, or maybe there are. Bye. It was great.
I'll look out. I'll look out for that. I do like Lucia's talks. They're very good.
Yeah, they are very, very good, aren't they?
Yeah, I have been enjoying that one.
Yeah, I think it's the best one she's done actually of the three or four that she's done so far. It was definitely the best one she's done. I really, really enjoyed it. So anyway, I'll put a link to that in the comments, and everybody can go and have a little look. So yes,
you've got a suggestion here from Chris. Who's saying she's just been texting a taxidermist friend who suggests soaking the bones in bio-washing liquid. So logical, because it'll work on organic stuff.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Right, I'll try that. Yeah, because I've got bio stuff. So yeah, I'll do that. Thank you, Chris. That's very appreciated. Thank you very much. What else we got? I wanted more grey. Avocado mashed up makes a great mask. Castor oil's too great to thicken it up a bit. Hair tips and tricks.
Yes. The problem is you've got to get it out afterwards. Like avocado everywhere.
That's one of the things that puts me off putting olive oil in my hair, because I think that's supposed to be very good for conditioning and so on too, isn't it?
Yes. I mean,
it worries me that either I couldn't get it out properly and it looked greasy, or that it's would smell like a pasta.
Yeah.
Nibble it in the night.
And that's someone suggested it in overnight, but I mean, my pillow would not thank me. Just think,
no,
I can see it working, but with long hair, you kind of, unless you kind of stick it up and put a swim hat over the top so it doesn't go everywhere. Going to bed with a swimming hat is not my idea of a night out.
I can't even talk.
You know,
this is you going to bed in a bright yellow hat now.
Yeah. One of those old-fashioned lady ones with the 3D flowers, you know.
Does that mean you also have to go to bed with the nose peg?
Oh, and an eye mask. And earplugs.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
I was thinking more of a headscarf really than a swimming hat.
Yeah, it's just trying to keep it all in control, isn't it? Cling film.
Oh, yeah, cling film. That's been called. When you get hot.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh,
Word, you get very hot. Oh dear.
Well, there we go. That's going to be interesting.
I'm not going to get that picture of a yellow swimming hat out of my head now. Swimming hat and goggles. I'm going in.
I've got a swimming hat with a bee on it. I could use that.
I suppose you could use your shower cap, couldn't you? A bit dusty though. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh,
Good heavens.
yeah. You know, sometimes you just get that picture though. Just imagine someone coming in with the goggles and the yellow hat going, I'm going to bed.
It may be some time.
Oh dear, oh well. Well, on that note, I think we should go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, thank you everybody for giving me such a laugh. Oh, God. And yes, keep well, everybody. I'll put the link up for Lucia's badwitch.co.uk and for her Bad Witch YouTube channel and her Magic of the Month. And we'll see you again next Wednesday. So look after yourselves. Don't forget to do your jars if that's what you feel like doing as well. So yes. Anyway, cheerio, everybody. See you soon.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.